Greetings, my wonderful jealous beans, and welcome back to another episode of Monday Madness, the Monday show where I normally talk about anything and everything that takes my fancy, but today, today it's going to be special, because originally I was going to be bringing you my first week of Christmas content. However, that's been shuttle bus to next week for a moment, because instead I am going to talk to you about the two-part Mighty Nein Reunited Critical Role special. Now, if you are not caught up with Critical Role and you do not want spoilers, this may not be the video for you, so please jump ahead and watch some of my other content on my channel. Please don't leave, please stay, subscribe, like, whatever. But either way, stay, enjoy wandering around my channel. I've got cosplay content, I've got Peter Pan Facts content, I've got random Monday Madness content, anything you'd like to see. So, in the meantime, for everybody else, we are going to be discussing the Mighty Nein Reunited two-part spectacular. Now, some of the videos that got really popular on my channel a few years back, and is mostly the reason why I have as many subscribers as I do, were the ones I did about the end of the Mighty Nein arc of Critical Role. And quite a lot of people disagreed with me. Quite a lot of people agreed with me. Quite a lot of people were fairly nonchalant in the middle. So we'll see what happens with that today, but today we are going to be talking about the Mighty Nein Reunited. So, let's get into it. Before we start, I will be mentioning I am not a rules lawyer, so I will not be rules lawyering this. I'm not going to be talking about whether they did anything wrong or right. I'm not going to be discussing anything like that. So if that's your kind of thing, then cool, I'm glad for you, but just to be warned, that's not what we're going to be talking about today. Today I'm going to be talking about the story and how, well, let's face it, damn awesome it was to see these characters again, and how damn awesome the story that they went on and the journey they took us along with was, and predominantly the ending and what I thought about that. The first and most obvious thing to talk about is the character of Kingsley the pirate, spoiler alert, who becomes the Plank King. I think we all saw that one coming though, didn't we? We all knew this was going to happen. Absolutely, I predicted that on my TikTok channel a while ago. Kingsley is going to be one of my favourite characters of all time. He is second only to that of Mollymauk within the world of Critical Role, and third to the character of Peter Pan in terms of characters in the world in general ever. But he is officially in my top 3, and within the world of Critical Role, he is my second favourite after Mollymauk. My top 3 in the world of Critical Role go Molly, Kingsley, maybe Vaxeldan and then Lucien, but they are vying for third place right now. However, unfortunately, not everyone was as delighted to see Kingsley as I was, so let's discuss that, shall we? Now, my big thing with the internet is I do not want to live in a bubble. If I don't like what somebody is saying, I don't always block them. I might mute them, and in very extreme circumstances, I might unfollow people. But I do very determinedly try, particularly within the fandom of Critical Role, to not just barricade myself into a little corner with all the people who agree with me, because I just don't think that's fair. And also, I really want to know what people's problem is. So, yeah, unfortunately, as part of my Twitter feed and in the Twitch chat, but mostly on my Twitter feed and occasionally on TikTok, I will see people complaining about the character of Kingsley. Now, that is fine. As a general rule of thumb, if you do not like the character of, hey, Mollymauk, if you didn't like Lucien, and predominantly at the moment, if you don't like Kingsley, that is fine. I don't mind you not liking the character. I think you're wrong, but I don't mind you having your opinion. I personally didn't enjoy Caduceus very much as a character, but that's not because he replaced Molly, it's because he's not my kind of character. It's the reason I liked Vaxeldan more than Vexalia. And also, he did have that sort of Doctor Who-esque taking over from someone who'd just done a really good job. Yeah, he was coming into a situation, it was very strange. But again, in the world of D&D, that kind of thing happens a lot. Players are going to play multiple different characters if their original character dies. That's just something that happens. So, why did people not like Kingsley Well, fortunately, or unfortunately, however you look at it, my Twitter feed and my TikTok was rather full of people explaining why they felt that way. So I'll run you through some of the specifics now. Several people thought that Caduceus should have been in the finale instead of Kingsley. They felt that his connection to Ford and the Wild Mother just made it make more sense that he should be there for the finale of all of this happening with Ford. Some people just did not enjoy Kingsley as a character. Fair enough, if pirates and cool badassery and sarcasm and wit is not your thing. Sure, again, I think you're wrong, but you can have your opinion, that is absolutely fine. Some people didn't enjoy the character of Molly at all. Again, I still don't get why, but sure. They didn't enjoy the character of Molly, and so any repetition of Molly, anything that reminded them of Molly, aka Lucien or Kingsley, they hated. There were a lot of people who hated the Lucien arc simply because it meant that Molly was having a comeback, for lack of a better word. We knew it wasn't Molly, but they got real pressed about that. It was quite funny to read, to be honest with you, and this is where I don't block people unless something really horrible happens. I do not block people whose opinions I disagree with because it's sometimes just fascinating to get an insight into their brain and how it works. Anyway, back to Kingsley. So yeah, those were the two main things. People didn't like the fact that Taliesin had chosen to play Kingsley instead of Caduceus, and some people just really did not dig Kingsley as a character. So let's get into that and why I disagree. We'll start with the easy one. Kingsley is a character I frigging love. Again, if it's not your kind of character, fair enough. But the people who take it to the extreme, saying that they were owed Molly back, and owed was a word that was used quite a lot in the finale of Campaign 2, people were saying that instead of having this new person, this stranger, that was a word that was used a lot as well, and there were people who were getting angry when the official art popped up for Kingsley, saying, I don't want this guy, whoever this stranger is, I want Molly, or I want Caduceus. Which is just rude, because you're posting that on someone's artwork, but sure. Anyway, there was unfortunately a chunk of the Critical Role fandom who were very heavily against Kingsley, and a lot of people were actually tagging Taliesin and the cast and saying, why did you do this? This was wrong. You have chosen wrong. You shouldn't be playing this character. Again, I'll get into Caduceus in a moment, but that was something that I felt was pushing it a little too far. Again, sure, if you don't like this character and you're disappointed, fair enough, but why are you tagging Taliesin and being mad? I mean, number one, he's barely ever on the internet. What are you hoping to achieve? And also, yeah, that's just kind of rude. So if you didn't want to see Kingsley in the finale, for whatever reason it was, sure, share those opinions, but do you have to be so rude about it? Come on. I appreciate that we didn't get to know Kingsley very well. We didn't get a lot of him, and some people require more time to warm up to a character. I can understand that, I can appreciate that. I personally managed to really get into his character and absolutely fall head over heels in love with him from the moment he opened his mouth, pretty much. But that's me. Part of it was, I was very excited to see Taliesin playing with this body again, whether or not it was Molly, and I was fairly certain it was not going to be Molly. And I personally, even as the biggest Mollymauk fan ever, I did not care either way. I was just excited that this body was getting to do something again. That was what I was excited for. I was excited when we had Lucien. I never wanted Molly to come back, but if he did, I would have been very, very happy. But I was not sitting there going, yes, give us Molly! You know, I was just excited to see what would happen. And when he came back and became Kingsley, that was fantastic to me. I was riveted. It was so exciting. And then he decided to be a pirate, and that just sealed the deal, really, because pirates are... Yeah, I love pirates. So, I personally had all of my criteria fulfilled. And I appreciate that not everyone felt that way, because within the few minimal hours that I got to really enjoy this character, and just every single thing that Kingsley did, from picking his name to dissing Molly's coat, to calling Molly a brother, to deciding to become a pirate, everything that he did just added to my love of this character. I appreciate that to some other people, it wasn't like that, and to some people it was knocking it down. I remember a lot of people who were genuinely gut-wrenchingly upset because Kingsley insulted Molly's coat and said it was a bit garish. And while I can appreciate where they might be coming from, I personally just saw it as brotherly banter. I thought that made me love him even more. He's just going like, oh my god, the person who was last in my body wore that? Whew, alright then. You know, in the same way that he would say, whoa, the last person who was in my body tried to, you know, become a god and awaken an entire city and was covered in eyes that screamed at you. Okay, sure. To me, it was just banter like that. And the three tea leaf brothers, technically two, but I'm going to include Lucien because I can. Yeah, I really enjoyed that as banter and I thought that was very funny. And I liked how it continued into the two-parter episodes as well. And now we're going to talk about the Caduceus Clay side of things, because again, we had a good chunk of the fandom, or at least on my Twitter, I was seeing a lot of them, who were, again, very... Well, to be fair, they weren't all angry. It ranged from disappointed to sad to really, really mad and tagging the creators again about Caduceus not being there. I, as I said, didn't really connect to Caduceus very much. He was not my kind of character. I didn't actively hate him or anything. He just, you know, he wasn't for me. So I was in a very lucky, very fortunate place when they announced that this two-parter was going to come out and I did not know who was going to be in it. And I was thinking, oh, it might be Kingsley, but it might be Caduceus. And I wasn't going to be disappointed. I would have watched it either way. But I appreciate that there were some people who were genuinely concerned that they were not going to see Caduceus again, and that they were going to get this Kingsley, this stranger person who they did not want to see. Whereas I was going to be happy either way, but to be honest, when it was Kingsley, I was just even more excited. So I appreciate I am the wrong person to talk about this probably, but we're going to do it anyway. So yeah, there were quite a lot of people who were disappointed, sad, or really, really mad about Caduceus not making it to the finale. And all I would say to that is that I personally, when I was watching the end of Campaign 2, I felt that within the wrap-up, Caduceus getting to go home, that to me felt like a happy ending. It felt like the final chapter of his story, the neat bow on the present. Bow. It felt like that was what Caduceus was working towards the entire time. He wanted to get home with his family. He didn't want to be at war. He enjoyed being an adventurer and went along for the ride, but he wasn't aiming to be that forever. His aim was to go back and live a peaceful, happy, chill life with occasional badass comments and hang out with his family and just relax. It was like retirement for him. So to me, when I was watching the finale of Campaign 2, it made sense that Caduceus goes home. And he bids farewell to his friends, and he says he will come and he will see them again, and they can of course visit, and I expected them to visit, of course I did, but Caduceus's role within the adventuring party was done by his own choice. Despite what some people seem to feel, I do not feel that Caduceus was forced out to make room for Kingsley. I don't think that Taliesin was like, oh god, I can't possibly play two of them, because he has played Percy and Molly. We have seen this happen. I don't think he was going, oh god, I've got to lose one of them, like, shove, yeah, I'm just going to retcon you out there. No, I think Caduceus got exactly what he was aiming for, and to me, it was a very satisfying, happy conclusion for his character. So while his chapters were closing, Kingsley's were opening. And because he was still hanging out with Jester and Ford and seeing the others, it made sense that he would be included in this. I mean, it stars Uk'otoa, they're at sea, Kingsley's a pirate. He's hanging out with Ford and Jester all the time. It just made sense. So from the story side of things, I am very sorry if you were anything from disappointed to sad to raging angry that you did not get Caduceus in the finale. I am sorry, but from a storytelling point of view, I think it makes perfect sense why he's not there. And then you have the player's perspective. As someone who has, well, to be fair, mostly DM'd D&D, but when I do get to play, I love playing D&D as a player or a DM, but really enjoy playing. And I play a lot of Tiefling pirates, so yeah, you can see why I really enjoy Kingsley and Mollymauk. But anyway, speaking from purely a getting to be a player point of view, Taliesin got to play with Mollymauk for 26 sessions, and that was it. And they barely got to any high levels with that. And then he got to play Caduceus for the rest of the campaign. It was 100, just under 100. I can't remember how many episodes are in Campaign 2 now, but somewhere around 100-ish episodes. And he got to do all of this leveling up, and Caduceus got to a really decently high level with the rest of the party. So now, when you're going back to this group of people in this part of the story, and you're given the choice where you can play with this, not Mollymauk, but the Blood Hunter type. You can be piracy, you can have that bit of rogue. I friggin' love that he had Swashbuckler. Oh my god, it made me so excited. Anyway, you can play with this character that you barely got to use in their original form, and that only got seen very, very briefly in their brand new form. Or you can go back to playing the character that you did get to level up and play with for like 100 episodes or so. I personally, as a player, I'm probably going to pick the one that I didn't get to play with more. Now, yes, as a player, I also really love character interactions, and so you can argue that Caduceus had emotional connections and ties and stuff to the party, and while that really does drive me as a player, again, his ending made sense. He had come to the conclusion of his arc, whereas Kingsley was just beginning and barely got to get used, and Taliesin had, I feel, fleshed Kingsley out a good chunk. So we got to see a little bit of this, like, snapshot of who Kingsley was, and then it was over. So from a storytelling point of view, and, I'm sorry, from a being a player playing a character point of view, I can completely understand why Taliesin would pick Kingsley over Caduceus. And again, just to confirm, your feelings are completely valid on this. If you really did not enjoy seeing Kingsley, if you were very upset about this, if you missed Caduceus and wanted him back, I understand. I may not agree, but I understand, and your feelings are still completely valid. I'm just explaining where I'm coming from the opposite side of things. But now, let's talk about the story and Uk'otoa. Anyone who's read my Blood fic, which is based on the RP I was in a long time ago, yeah, you will know that Uk'otoa means a completely different thing to me than it means to the cast of Critical Role, so that was interesting to get my head around. But anyway, James Uk'otoa, whole different person. Yeah, similar. So, Uk'otoa is coming back. It's amazing. And one of my favourite lines from part 1 was when Ford was talking to Kingsley and Jester, and he was saying, you know, in hindsight, I probably shouldn't have had the thing that they needed, you know, with me with no plan. And then Kingsley just comes back and is like, actually, I respect the hell out of you for that, you know. No plan at all. Just, yeah, I've still got this. I'm gonna go on the sea, why not? That was beautiful. Just to mention that once more. The banter between Kingsley and Beau. But Kingsley and Jester and Ford. Love that. Amazing. Fantastic. More of that, please. Anyway, so, the story, Ukitawa. Ukitawa, coming back. We all had an inkling that this was a plot thread that had yet to be completely tied up, and I'm very excited that we got to see this. And given the cast, in particular Liam's reaction right at the very end of the second part, I feel like if given the time and the opportunity, they would very happily jump into the Mighty Nein characters again and do another one-shot. And also, while we're talking about that particular moment, Taliesin did mention that he would potentially play Caduceus and trade off playing Kingsley and Caduceus, so, you know. So Ukata was coming back and had to be thwarted. Love that. Love that. Love going back to that moment. Absolutely fantastic. Amazing. I also really enjoyed seeing where everybody was all these months later. It was 6 months just down the line. We got to see what everyone had been doing. Eventually, we got the full body art. I only have to change like 2 things on my Kingsley cosplay, so it's fine. It's all fine. I was sitting there begging for artwork. It's fine, it's fine, it's fine. Go watch the video of me making my Kingsley cosplay based on only 2 friggin' screenshots. I feel like I did well. Anyway, I am excited to see the rest of the cosplays, particularly the new Ford, looking fantastic. Mwah. Everyone looks fantastic, all looking amazing, and they're all living their lives. One of my favourite bits was actually the camp being run by Veth and Veth's husband, and with Luke there as well, and all the kids and what they were doing, and eventually had, like, Yasha coming in to help teach lessons, and Jester coming in. I really enjoyed that. I thought it was an excellent piece of world building, and just what are they up to, and I love that, particularly in the finale where they were talking about Jester coming in and Yasha and everyone coming in to teach classes and how it took off and everything. Love that. Love where the pirates were at sea, obviously. Love the stone's throw shipping discussion. That was amazing. Beau and Yasha as well. I love that Yasha got a moment to just take a breath and calm down and live the nice, cool, cottagecore lesbian life, and Beau being just like, no, I'm out of here, out of work, and then coming home in those two's relationship as well. Love that. Loved seeing Caleb too and how he's coming into his own and he's helping to teach and resisting the teaching job, but by the end of it, spoiler alert, he has taken the teaching job. Love that Widogast is still a thing. Love that they, you know, threw us a few little hints in there that their relationship is starting, because again, remember, this is only 6 months after the finale. They haven't had years or anything, so both of them are still healing at this point. So love that Essek is still visiting and those guys are just starting their relationship up properly. Loved all of it. I love the monkey moment as well. That was hilarious. And the trigonometry and the, what have you been doing? I've been learning how to steer a bloody ship. What have you been doing? And all the banter. It was beautiful. Absolutely hilarious. And the final boss where they fought Ukitawa. Oh my word. Love that. And Yasha gave the final kill to Ford. Love that moment. What a, such a climactic and perfect moment. Really enjoyed that for Ford. And they all survived. Hooray! Love that. Also, Jess's moment of healing in like 700 hit points is like, good damn. That was incredible. Love that. That was fantastic. And then we also got a very sweet and quite tender moment amidst the banter and the sarcasm where Kingsley went to talk to Beau and Yasha about Mollymauk, his brother Molly. And I was not expecting this moment at all. And I know that a lot of people really wanted him to talk about Molly, and I wasn't sure. I really didn't mind. I enjoyed Kingsley with or without any discussions of Molly. And it was very interesting to see how they played that. I think it was very sweet of Taliesin to want to have that moment. And it was barely 5 minutes. But Kingsley spoke to Beau and to Yasha, and he explained in another moment that I thought was really cool that he had actually been talking to Caduceus a lot. See, got our Caduceus in there a little bit. And I really love that Kingsley was talking to Caduceus, and the reasoning made perfect sense as well. Caduceus was the only one who did not have this pre-bit of Molly in his head. And so, of course, Kingsley would talk to Caduceus about the future and plans and stuff, because Caduceus, as Kingsley described, is the only person who is not looking at him as if he's looking at Molly. And that really sat with me, because that encompasses everything that I feel a lot of the critters are doing to Kingsley. The ones who are angry, the ones who are disappointed that Kingsley either exists or was in the finale, particularly the ones who are just raging mad that he exists in the first place. They're looking at him as if he's done something wrong, and by extension as if Taliesin did something wrong. They're looking at Kingsley as if Kingsley killed Molly. They're looking at Kingsley as a downgrade, as a replacement they never asked for, that kind of thing. And within that moment, Kingsley did a perfect summing up of how I feel about it, and how I think maybe Taliesin might feel about it. But I don't want to put words in someone's mouth. You know, it may just have been Kingsley in character, but Kingsley was saying, that Caduceus is the one person who doesn't look at him, and he didn't say with disappointment, but I feel like it was almost left unsaid, because while the others have embraced Kingsley, and he's got banter and back and forth with, like, Beau, and he seems to have a sort of nice calm with Yasha, and he gets along well with everybody else, and particularly Ford and Jester, he's got a lot of banter with those, they're very good friends. He clearly still, every time they look at him, he physically resembles the friend that they watched die and turn into an evil bad guy, and then they tried to resurrect and stuff. And that must be incredibly difficult. Imagine living that life. I know Kingsley's a fictional character, but imagine it. You know, imagine that you're in the body of someone, and you are still hanging out with the friends and the family of the person whose body you are inhabiting. And you have, like, a little bit of their memories, and your voice is a little bit similar, but you are not this person. And you're trying to live your life. And you know that even while these people have taken you in, and you've got banter and you've got friends, and they're doing their best for you, they all still cannot help but see their dead friend when they look at you. You are the reanimated corpse of their friend in a way. You are wearing their friend's skin, you know? And so it really made sense to me, and I really love that moment, that little touch that he put in, that Kingsley talks to Caduceus, because Caduceus is the one person who won't look at him like that. And I thought that was a much more powerful storytelling moment to have Caduceus in the finale. Even just as a reference, that to me was way more powerful than having him there just because he knew Ford and the Wild Mother. Also, I really enjoyed Ford letting Kingsley take the sword. Like, yeah, you can have this one. And Kingsley's like, I like boons, yeah. Love him. What a chaos being. I love him. So overall then, predominantly, I enjoyed the finale because, well, I love the Mighty Nein, and I love Kingsley, and seeing Taliesin get to play him was fantastic and a real highlight for me. And the story was great. I liked wrapping up that little bit of, you know, the Ukatoa thing that wasn't quite wrapped up at the end of the finale of Campaign 2. I love seeing these characters. While I am enjoying Campaign 3, Campaign 1 and 2 have always been slightly more special to me because that was when it was still growing and we were getting to know all these people, and it was the first time it was new and fresh, you know? So Campaign 1 holds a very special place in my heart because it was the first campaign I watched of Critical Role, and I got into it while they were still doing it live, and love Vax'ildan so damn much. And then Campaign 2 brought me Molly, and Molly is my favourite character of all time. Second only to Peter Pan, but within the world of Critical Role is my favourite character of all time. And the only character I have ever related to for reasons that are way too personal to go into, and I will make a video about it again because, again, I'm going to redo the videos I made previously. But anyway, blah, blah, blah. Molly, ridiculously important to me. Campaign 2, very, very important to me. And actually, Critical Role is responsible for the best friends I have ever made in my life. So, there is that. So this two-part extra, just getting to go back to that, was really, really special. And again, I'm loving Campaign 3. Love Ashton. Hilarious, sarcastic. A lot of the things that I love about Taliesin's other characters. Love that. While loving Campaign 3, I also still really love getting to relive Campaign 1, and particularly in The Legend of Vox Machina, we're getting to see Vox Machina again, and now we're getting to see bits of the Mighty Nein again when they're doing one-shots like this. So this was very special for me. I really enjoyed it, in particular Kingsley, and again, I'm sorry if you did not enjoy him, but as I said, for storytelling purposes and for getting to play the character purposes, I think that Taliesin made the right decision. But what do you guys think? What did you think of the finale and the part 1 and part 2? Is it a finale? There's only 2 parts? Yeah, why not? What did you think of part 1 and the finale part 2 of the Critical Role Mighty Nein Reunited one-shot that was a 2-shot? We're not going to talk about that. So what did you think? Chuck your thoughts down in the comments below. Have you caught up with Campaign 2? Have you watched Campaign 1? Have you caught up with Campaign 3? What have you been watching? Do you know any of it? If you don't know Critical Role, how did you find this page? I hope you're having a really amazing week, and I will actually be starting on the Christmas content next. As always, if you'd like to support me, my Patreon is open for pictures of the dog and doing various things, and if you'd like to commission me, I have got my commissions open where I can make things for you. You can buy stuff on my Ko-fi, or I can give you a personalised in-character message from various different characters. So, hit me up on my Ko-fi if you like any of those. If you'd like me to make you something, please hit me up on my Instagram DMs, and if you'd like to see many, many pictures of the dog and vote in these videos and see things early and behind the scenes and stuff, head over to my Patreon. Alright everyone, have a wonderful day. Goodbye. Yeah, in case you couldn't tell, I really fucking love Mollymauk. Yeah, in case you couldn't tell. What did he actually say?
Stone's throw!
Your shipping is just a stone's throw away.
we're working on it.
It's a bit of a problem, if you think about it, that your shipping company is always a stone's throw away. That means that it hasn't gotten very far, isn't it?
It's okay. We weren't sold on it or anything. We only printed how many of the cards?
Well, I didn't print them, I made them all by hand.
Handmade.
So,
Shit. Right.
There's like 5 of them so far.
I mean, to be fair, I think that's all you need at this point,
I
because if you're shipping something, then you're not going to be meeting a lot of people who
I think
need...
it's catchy. I think it's
who
catchy.
need-